Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm sure you guys can see today we're here at Paul Ricard for what is quite a special video. Not part of a series, not the start of a series, totally different, one-off, interesting, hopefully, video, and is of course at Circuit Paul Ricard, the French GP track. And currently we're sat here on the start line for the introduction. So what I'm doing in this video is we're going to see, can I improve Paul Ricard's layout? Now, out of all the tracks on the F1 calendar, there is one that has a ridiculous amount of possible track layouts, and that's of course Paul Ricard. You know, there's so many possible track configurations and combinations that the mind just boggles at the possibilities. But of course, there are some, like, we can't do. You know, we can't take away half of the track because the F1 track wouldn't be long enough. There's sort of a certain restriction on length. Of course, Spa's a little bit too long and Monaco's a little bit too short in the FAA regulations, but they're excused because nothing really actually follows the FAA regulations for F1 tracks. But we can't just do that. So there are 3 sections where we can have a different track configuration. There's the first section, which is actually the first corner. That will be an interesting one. That's in Sector 1. Then one in Sector 2. Absolutely massive complex there. So many different combinations. That is going to be interesting. And then a little 50-50 choice in Sector 3 to finish it off with. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you're enjoying the content, guys, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to do it. I know it's a bit of a pest, but if you haven't already, please do slam that subscribe button if you're enjoying this content. But what we're going to do first, before we get into analysing the different options, is I'm just going to send you guys around a semi-fast lap of Paul Ricard, just to sort of refresh your minds and also what the track layout actually is, you know, because we're going to get quite confused with what's actual the track layout a bit later. So I'm just going to take you guys around a lap so that you can sort of re-familiarise yourself with this track if you don't do it that often. Then we'll get into the first section, which is of course at Sector 1, where we might be able to make some changes. But first, we're going to get into a nice little flight. It's going to be a semi-fast lap here. Not exactly pushing, it's just so you guys can familiarise yourselves with the track, because it's quite an interesting track. A lot of people don't really like it that much. You know, some people like it, some people don't. Some people are just a bit indifferent about it. Some people say that it's a plain track. I'll admit it doesn't create the best of racing in real life, but it creates some really nice racing, as we've just gone past the first section for track changes. This section can always sort of cause problems between F1 fans. I quite like this section, actually. I really do like Sector 1. But it is pretty common for there to be some complaints about it. Some people don't like it. But then, of course, you've got your main overtaking opportunity as we head up towards the chicane. And this, as you can see there, you've got your different configurations you could have there. We can't exactly have them. This is really your main overtaking opportunity, though, this chicane. And that is definitely, in my opinion, the best overtaking opportunity. This will be nicely heading up here. Teeny bit of elevation change. Not too much here at Paul Ricard. This long right-hander, Knock a Bollard flying, won't be the first. If you watched the My Team Career Mode race of this one, we had a fantastic race. I'd highly advise that one. You'll see me in qualifying, actually, sending plenty of bollards flying all over the place. And this corner, really difficult there. Don't particularly like it. A little bit all over the place on the exit, and we're coming towards the end of this lap. This long left-hander, actually pretty enjoyable if you get the line right. And then the tight right-hander to finish it, as you then head down the main straight. There is a lap around this lovely circuit, Paul Ricard, as we come over the line. And now we can start to have a look at the possible different track configurations for this lovely French circuit, and see if we can actually improve the layout. You know, can we make the track better than it already is? Well, we've had a quite fast flyer there so that you guys can just familiarise yourselves again with the circuit. Didn't go fully over all the ins and outs of the curbs and everything like that and braking points and things like that. Just taking you around a lap so you know what the normal circuit is. And now we can get into, can we improve the track? As I'm sure you can see, we have got 3 different possible configurations for the first corner, basically. There's the one that veers out to the left quite quickly. That is the normal sort of chicane section that you have at the start of the lap. It's not really much of an overtaking opportunity, to be honest with you. Like, you don't really get... You drop so far back in Sector 3 that you don't get that many overtakes into it. Most of your overtakes into the chicane. This DRS is sort of catch up to them. However, you can go for an overtake into that tight right-hander further down there. Then there is sort of the middle option. You know, you're going to be taking a lot of the right-hand side on entry. And then you're going to have to really hook it up to the left. It's probably going to be a bit of a clumsy one to take, that one in the middle. I can see the exit being alright, but it could be a little bit awkward through there. I'm sort of feeling like you have to take a very wide line on entry and probably be braking at some sort of awkward angle. Might be quite easy to knock up into it. Might be not that great, that corner. Not entirely sure. But, yeah, that might be a little bit too tight at points with it. I'm not really sure it's creating an overtaking opportunity, so I'd be interested to see what that one's like. And then the other option, which is totally flat out, a little kink to the left, a little kink to the right, and actually, that might not be a bad idea. You might be able to get an overtaking opportunity then into the tight right-hander. So what I'm going to do for these, I am going to show you guys the 3 possible options, starting from the real one, then we're going to go to the middle, then the far right one, and then after that, I'm going to jump back into, I'm going to go slowly through here. I'm going to tell you guys which one I have chosen through this section, and if we can actually improve the start of the first sector. And definitely what I'm thinking about is potentially an overtaking opportunity. It's not easy, normally. Can we make that more likely? We'll have to see, but we're going to get into the 3 possible configurations. The first of the 3 in Sector 1, and it is the normal of the 3. You've got a potential overtaking opportunity. Can be a little bit awkward. This curb can throw you off a bit, but that's the normal one. And the first of the 3, not that much of an overtaking opportunity, but there's still a chance into this tight right-hander. Well, then the second of the 3 options, the one I'm a little bit more nervous about compared to the others. You can actually carry a lot through there. It's a bit quicker than I expected, but the exit is really uncomfortable and difficult. It feels a little bit awkward, and you're not going to be able to get really any overtakes into there. Well, then the final of the 3 options, and the flat-out one here, as I'm sure you can see, it's pretty comfortable to take that flat out. It's not that characteristic. There's not that much characteristic to it. There isn't that much character, but there could be an overtaking opportunity into that tight right-hander at the end of there. Well, then, we've seen the 3 options, and now it's time for me to decide as we head down to what will be the first corner. There were 3 options here. The far left one, then the more central one, and the right one. Personally, I didn't like the central one. It felt a little bit too awkward on the exit. It was fine coming into it. Through here, you didn't have to take that wide of a line. You could carry a lot in. But I didn't really enjoy it. You know, I didn't find it that nice. It felt a little bit clumsy on the exit, and it just didn't feel right. It's not got the overtaking opportunity, and it's sort of going to separate the 2 cars. Then, of course, we have the one to the left of us here. And as I'm sure you can see, that one, it's, the one on the left, the normal one. I feel like you have got that overtaking opportunity. If I come back a little bit, you guys will be able to see, there is the overtaking opportunity. It is a hard braking zone, quite hard braking zone, into this left-hander. You can try and send it side by side through here. You can go for a move, but in my opinion, I actually prefer the 3rd layout, because that straight isn't that long, and after Sector 3, you use the DRS to catch up to another car. The only way, you're not really going to get that many overtakes into this. Your better chance is an overtake off the good exit, off this section, and then send it down to that right-hander at the 50-meter board. You know, and particularly this section here, I quite like these two corners, but for racing wise, I actually think that taking it through here, because it's not exactly tight corners, you're not exactly going to be flying back away from them. You're not going to have to back off. It's totally flat out. And because of that, you're going to be carrying so much pace just behind them. Have a little bit more speed in the slipstream. Use some ERS down here, and you can have a much better overtaking opportunity into this right-hander. So there's my choice, and it is the flat-out start to the lap here, because I think that's going to create a really good overtaking opportunity. I would miss turn 1 and turn 2, but you know, you're going to have some fantastic moves into the 50-meter board corner. That's how I like to call it. You know, that tight right-hander, 90 degrees. And then, of course, you've got good chances into the chicane later on in the lap to maybe have a little bit of switch-a-roo back. Well, it does seem the main event has arrived here. We've decided on Sector 1, and now it's time to have a look at Sector 2. And as I'm sure you can see, there are quite a few options. You know, you're looking at an absolute slalom of options here. Because on entry, you've either got a straight, or you can have this right-hander that's a bit funny for that there. And then, of course, you've got two options for chicanes. You can actually have the left, right, left, right, left combination. Little bit all over the place. That is, of course, on that left-hand side. There are so many options here. Loads of possible options. You can either go straight on. You know, that's the first option, straight on. Then, of course, on the left-hand side, you can see the 50-meter board. You can take that chicane there, left, right, and then you can continue straight on. Or you can then go left and then go around that right-hander onto the little kink to the left. Or you can go from that chicane and then head back down to the right and up. But that's illogical because it's going the wrong way and probably cause some crashes. So that's not really going to happen. And then, of course, you could continue on to the normal chicane. You could just have it as normal, or you could have it so that you get the first part and then that other tight right-hander after it. There are loads and loads of options, or you can use the kink on the right-hand side of the road. And I'm gonna sort of bring it down to a few different options, and that's mainly because I'm not going to do every single option, because we will literally be here all day. There's so many. But we're going to get started on these and just see what they're like. And then I'm going to be making a decision at the end of it. And the main thing I'm thinking about this straight is the overtaking opportunities. You've had the DRS, and it's going to be interesting to see if we can make better overtaking opportunity than we usually have. So, we're going to get into looking at the possible different configurations for this section of track. And if we can spice things up a little bit through here without removing a really good overtaking opportunity. Well, then we're heading up to the first section, and this is the first option. That left-hander through here, I liked the elevation changes a little bit, but that left-hander feels a little too awkward. Well, I have to say, that sort of unusual entry feels a little bit awkward, and it is killing an overtaking opportunity. And then there's this, of course, this option here. It feels very, very awkward, very twisty, and quite uncomfortable through there. Well, the final option involving this really awkward kink, it's taking away the overtaking opportunity, is this here, and it just feels a little bit slow, a little bit slug-like, and certainly isn't going to create overtaking opportunities. Well then, the next option is to try and take this section through here, and it doesn't feel like there's going to be an overtaking opportunity, and it is very twisty. Well then, we're going to incorporate this left-hander again. That feels too tight. Then, of course, there is the option to head up here, but again, too tight for that chicane. Well, this time round then, we are heading through this left-hander to the right. Not too bad at all through there, not too shabby. I quite like that. Get more acceleration out of it. Well then, this is the normal way you would take it through here. Not too shabby, just the normal way. Pretty classic. And, well then, the final option I'm going to show you guys is just straight ahead. Yep, just straight ahead. You might have an overtaking opportunity as right-hander, but it doesn't really feel like it. It's just, you know, straight ahead, basically. Well, we've had a snippet of virtually every possibility. I haven't shown you all of them, but here I'm going to analyse it. First of all, this right-hander kink. You're not going to get many overtakes into there. As nice as it is, like some sort of reminiscent bump thing, it just doesn't create an overtaking opportunity. You can't go and too wide. You can barely fit 2 cars up here. I mean, you're not going to get many overtaking opportunities into it. So anything involving that, out of the equation. Straight on, in my opinion, just doesn't have the character. You know, we've got the DRS, so we need an overtaking opportunity. You're going to be quite close to the other car after what we've done earlier in the lap. So I really do think that we shouldn't go all the way to the end. I think we should just make advantage of the DRS zone. This left-hander here, let me tell you what that's like. Hell, you might be able to get an overtaking opportunity into it. I say you might. It's very tight. It's a bit too tight for F1 cars. And are you going to be able to fit 2 cars in there too wide? No, you're not. So that's pretty much out of the equation. Not too tough. Which then leaves us with us having to take this left-hander here. Now there were 2 options. There's your overtaking opportunity potentially. You're going to have gone down the inside line. Then you can try and close it off here. Now, usually, we'd go around that long right-hander. But personally, I want to make this a little bit quicker, this section. And I'm going to go with this. A bit different. It really is. But I quite like it. It's unusual, you know, because I feel like that right-hander drags a little bit too much. This could also mean that you could continue your fight quite quickly, a lot of pace, up towards that long right-hander. I think this is a bit nicer. It's not as clumsy. There's still an overtaking opportunity, and you're still going to be able to get side-by-side action. So this is where you're going to then go. You're going to want to head along here, a little bit of a kink across here, and there you go. You might be able to carry your fight all the way up into this right-hander. I quite like that, and I actually prefer that to what we had before. So there we go. 2 out of the 3 done. Now it is, of course, time for the final one. The final decision, then, and it is the final sector. Of course, we had the first sector, not too complicated. The middle sector actually was fairly easy for me to decide, despite all the possibilities, because most of them were really not that fantastic in an F1 car. But now we're here at Sector 3, and you've got the normal one, which is that long dragging right-hander, which is the one on the right, and then the tighter but quicker one, which is this left-hander here. We're really able to attack the exit, I feel, a little bit more. There's not much more for me to say for these 2, so we're actually going to get into having a look at the last option. Well then, we begin with the normal one. It's a really late apex. It's quite awkward, I feel, through there. It just doesn't feel right. I don't particularly like that corner. Now then, for the other option, you've got this left-hander a little bit earlier, a little bit awkward on entry, but you can really attack the exit and try to push it into this left-hander here, and then the final corner. Now it's time for me to justify my final choice here, and for me this was an absolute no-brainer. I don't like that far corner. You know, I don't like it. I feel like it drags. It can feel awkward. The curb at the apex is horrible. It's quite easy to just absolutely blow your head up trying to get that corner right. I don't like it. It's a really awful late apex. Instead, I do prefer this one. This is actually another late apex, but I really like carrying it in and being able to attack the exit a lot more. It's a lot more fun, and might just keep the cars a little bit closer heading into the final 2 corners. But now that we've done the 3 different sections, we're going to get into the final bit, which is me actually doing our improved version of Circuit Paul Ricard. Well, and this is what you've all been waiting for, I am pretty sure here. The improved version of Circuit Paul Ricard here in F1 2021. Away we go in this lovely Ferrari for our improved version of this track. I really do quite like this one. If you guys have liked this track, then comment down below. Hit the like button. Then you've got this flat out section here. You're probably not going to be able to go side by side into it, but you might be able to get an overtake into this tight right-hander here. So not too bad of a start to the lap with Sector 1. Of course, we have made 3 changes to the track in all 3 sections. You know, I haven't kept any of the same through there. And then this is quite a small change, but I really do think it adds to it, you know. And then, of course, you can make the Monaco version of this track, which isn't that hard to do. But we can now head through here, the left-hander, really be able to attack the right-hander, and that is so fun to be aggressive on there. I don't know if it's going to create that good of an overtaking opportunity, to be honest with you, but that was so fun. And then, of course, as we head along here towards the end of the lap, this long right-hander, and then we're going to head up the hill to the next one of my changes. A little bit of a tough one, but on the exit you can really attack it and send it through that right-hander. And there we go, we're coming towards the end of the lap, our improved version of Paul Ricard. Don't forget to comment what you think below, and also your guys' version of Paul Ricard. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. And this has been Paul Ricard, but improved. Join me next time on the channel for another video. But thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this special testing out what Paul Ricard is like if we try and have a go at improving it using the track that already exists.